Okay, now for the sheath of this Zephos, I got a big old piece of leather. I got the pattern, cut out to size and everything. This is 9 to 10 ounce leather, so this is a nice thick piece of leather. And I'm going to attempt to do a kind of carving design on here. This is kind of a Celtic Norse design that my wife actually drew for me. So it's got the letter O built into it. That's the last name of the couple getting married. So it'd be nice to kind of add that to it. So to get this design onto the leather, got a piece of transfer paper. And I'm going to put it right about here on the sheath because I want to make sure there's enough room for the belt loop, and I have another idea of how I'm going to do that, but having about that much material there is going to be plenty. So I can line this up on here. I'm going to just tape that in place, and I'll show you how this works. Okay, so essentially you go over the design with the transfer paper underneath it, and I'll leave a charcoal line on the leather, and so that way I'll know where to go over it with the swivel knife. And I've got a pen here so I know what I've gone over and what I haven't gone over. Okay, went over everything with the pen, so let's take this off and see what we got. Okay, there we have it. So we have the faint line on the leather. Should be enough for me to go over it with the swivel knife. Alright, so got it wet down. It's a little bit fainter than the practice piece I did, but I think this will be enough for me to get what I need out of it. I'm just using the very corner of the swivel knife, and the drawing is still at this point a guideline. Once I have the knife mark in, it's pretty much going to be set in stone, as it were. So if there's any sort of line I don't like, I can try to correct it. Having the whole pattern laid out is certainly more helpful than trying to make it up on the fly. Just be left as lines, just kind of little decorations. They'll fill in with stain and hopefully stand out a little bit. There's sort of a thorn and leaf motif going here. This little leaf here, I'm going to kind of go free range on him. He's a little off the reservation. That's okay. Take that like that. Alrighty, so I think that's gonna about cover it. That's our design. I might re-wet this, then we'll go back through with our stamping tool here, and basically we're just going to go over the border of everything. So fairly simple, a little bit tedious. We'll see how much I show you. Alright, so here's the little tool that I'm using essentially to make this into a relief carving. So it's just sort of a tapered or a beveled piece of metal. So I'm going to take this peak, put that in the line, and just lightly tap it with the hammer and just follow the line out, and that'll kind of give the effect that the carving is raised up from the rest of the leather. Just like that. So these tight spots, I gotta kind of lift it up a little bit so that I don't squash my carving. But that's all there really is to it. So in a spot like here where I want to try to make it seem like that vine is going underneath the other vine, we'll take it and we'll just do a light little tap like that. And that goes a long way as far as selling the interwoven effect. Alrighty, I think that should just about do it, but I'm happy with it. Looks good. Just sort of going over it by hand since the leather's so soft. Oh, there's a little spot I missed. And just sort of help smooth out some of the maybe a little bit heavier marks. Once this dries fully, I'll be able to stain it. I'll start with the linseed oil. Okay, I think that should do it. So we'll let this dry, and then we'll see what it looks like with the stain on there. Okay, so the leather is dry. Actually got it all glued up, sewn together, so the knife or sword fits in there nice. Got the sheath to match up to the guard nicely, so we can go ahead and start staining this. So I'm going to start with some linseed oil, and then we'll get some darker stain on there. Okay, so here's what our sheath is looking like. I threw a coat of acrylic resin on there just to kind of gloss it up, make it a little shiny and fancy. So what I'm going to do now is put on the belt loop attachment. And so this is what I got right here. Just a piece of leather, belt loop folded over. I sewed that down already. Got some holes punched there. So the idea is this will fit right here. And I'm going to do a little bit of leather lace to kind of sew that up. The idea is it'll kind of give it the kind of fantasy look without, you know, having a design or something that'll draw attention from the main engraving there. So I've got a piece of leather. Essentially, I cut it down into just a thin strip just to make this piece of lace, bevel the edges. So we're going to run this through and get this sewed on. All right, something like that. That's what we're looking for. So I may need to, it seems on there pretty solid. I was thinking I might have to put some rivets here just to keep this from sliding off, but it seems to be on there pretty darn good. So we'll see. We'll see. So now I think we'll finish this off with a handy dandy square knot. Did I remember my square knot right? Yeah, there we go. There we go, square knot. And just snip off our tag ends here. And put a little bit of stain on the ends here. That way we don't have any white raw leather edges showing. All right, here's a little bit better look at the overall completed sword and sheath. Pretty happy with the way this came out. It's my first time trying an original design like that and engraving it. I think it's look nice hanging up on the wall. Happy about the fit up of the guard to the sheath. So overall, it's got a pretty handsome presentation. There's the back, just belt loop, nothing going on here. But I put the acrylic resin on the back as well. But yeah, it comes out nice and easy, fits in, locks in, no wiggle or rattle. This is a cool blade. Happy with the way it came out. You know, I wasn't going for a historic Zephos by any stretch, but that's certainly the blade profile to me anyways just says Zephos, so that's what I'm calling it. But again, this is really meant to be more of a fantasy type sword, so there wasn't any sort of historical parameters that I had to stick to. So again, leaf-shaped blade. The customer liked that. Kind of reminded them of Sting from Lord of the Rings. Obviously, that was a Zephos-inspired sword as well. So you have that kind of fantasy precedent. Grip is, in my mind at least, grip is kind of like the Kinjal dagger type hilt. The real reason I went with that sort of design is because it's easiest to make. You know, the fit up time of like a guard and pommel and everything like that. That really is a time consuming thing, and I had a time limit to get this done by. So thankfully I've got it done in time, and I'm happy with it. So wood, I don't think I mentioned before, was mahogany wood. I like to use that a lot. It's just an easy wood to work with, but looks good. Takes a stain nicely. Well, with a pretty pronounced contouring on the handle, so you have the kind of center rib. This almost ends up being like a pommel area, as it were. But you could put two hands on it if they're cutting the cake and they want to have each person have a hand on the sword. They can certainly do that. Really, just from a sword perspective, this is definitely a one-handed sword. Feels good in the hand, locks in good, and where that rib is, it doesn't really interfere with the V of the guard, which, you know, this guard was taken from the Hellboy comic books by Mike Mignola, so certainly no historical precedent for this. It's not honestly a practical guard, but it was fun to make. It was an interesting challenge trying to fabricate this. Weld job is certainly not the best. If I were to go about this again, there are some things that I might do different. So it was a good learning experience, but I'm happy with the way it looks. I like the brassing. Brassing looks nice. I don't know, just the overall handsome, unique piece. We got the Hellboy style engravings there. That was my first time really doing that. While this blade will probably only do one ceremonial cut in its lifetime, on the off chance that it does get used for trimming tree branches or something like that, I wanted it to do well, so I want it to be sharp. Weight of the sword is 1 pound, 9.2 ounces. With the sheath, it's 2 pounds, 5 ounces. Overall length is going to be 20¼ inches. Blade length is about 14 inches from right in here to the tip. Cutting edge is 12½ inches. And the whole grip is going to be about 6 inches. So, but yeah, as with anything that's got kind of a higher polish to it, something I'm not very good at, something I need more practice at. So, you know, it's good for me to do it on this one. Left the fuller with kind of the dark vinegar patina because I really didn't want to risk ruining the edge bevels, or, you know, I mean, they're honestly not particularly great, but I didn't want to risk having that wheel kind of roll over and then, you know, really make a mess of things. I don't know, that's just sort of my style of working on stuff. As I work to a point where I'm, you know, don't want to risk messing it up, if that makes sense. It might not. I'm going to continue to push myself and try to get better, but that's just where we're at right now. I'm really happy with the way the sheath came out. So hanging up on the wall, this will certainly look nice. I'm really proud of my wife and the design that she came up with. I think it looks great. You know, it definitely has the fantasy elements. It's got the Celtic Nordic design. This is taken from a historic design. First letter of the last name of the couple getting married integrated in there, but it just fits the piece really well. But that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you want to order a custom knife from me, you can message me on the Etsy web store. I have a link in the description box. I do have some other knives and swords currently available. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Keep up with my latest and greatest work. That's where I post photos as I finish stuff up, or list items that are available. Not everything is going to have a YouTube video around it, unfortunately. But so, as always, appreciate the support. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, be more Viking.